Dear Dean Meehoff, Dean Payer, and our graduation speaker, Mr. Dirk Leuten, to the faculty and staff of INSEAD's MBA program, and to our guests, welcome to all of you. And you've heard it probably 5 times now, but it's what we're here to do today, so let me say it once more. Hello, and a very special welcome to the curious, the cognizant, the collaborative cohort of the graduating class of INSEAD's MBA program of 2022D. I want to use the time that I have today to first acknowledge the incredible achievements that we've been through this year. I want to then synthesize the commonalities of this experience we've had to understand just what it is that we've shared. And I want to close by framing this experience in the context of the lives that we have ahead of us for the years to come. Allow me to begin by centering our collective attention on the moment that we're currently sharing. I genuinely believe that the few minutes of this graduation ceremony belong to a tiny subset of precious moments that come but a few times in this life. Like getting married or having a child, these minutes clearly demarcate our lives into 2 phases, the time before and the time after. As we sit at the boundary of these 2 phases, I implore each and every one of you students to sit with this. Give yourself permission to acknowledge the incredible achievement that you've just completed. In a few minutes from now, we will each hold an MBA, a Master's of Business Administration, from the business school for the world, INSEAD. I remind you that to have even been admitted in the first place was a distinctive achievement, and we now sit at the tail end of what was perhaps the most intense year of our lives, having successfully navigated every twist and turn, every hill and valley along the way. In many ways, the granting of degrees to each of us today represents the culmination of our decades of education, of our efforts, of the impactful work we've already performed, and of our perseverance. May we all indulge ourselves in being wowed by what we've done for just a few moments. Dearest guests, while your beloved graduates are mulling over their many milestones, I want to thank you for being here, both virtually and in person. Many of you will have traveled internationally and some even intercontinentally to be with us today. Thank you so much for making the effort. But more than that, thanks are owed for the ongoing encouragement you've provided to each of us in the previous years. Your stalwart support is a major factor in why we are here today. To the partners who have been with us this year, and also to the children, some of who have joined us as recently as 98 days ago or 8 days ago, thank you for being here. You have uprooted your lives to join us on this international adventure, and it hasn't always been easy. But you have kept us sane, and you have kept us grounded, and you are an integral part of this cohort. Thank you so much. Now, for the guests who have just arrived, it might be kind of weird. You've come from all over the world, and you've landed in Fontainebleau. You might have a bit of a sense of what MBA programs are in general and a small idea of what INSEAD is, although you probably don't know what it stands for. Don't worry, neither do most of us. And you're now looking at hundreds of graduates who you haven't yet met, but you're sure are interesting and amazing individuals. Here's the thing, every one of us students was very recently in exactly the same place as you. On January 4th of 2022, a mere 337 days ago, we all arrived on campus with only a vague idea of what was to come. We'd perhaps heard secondhand accounts of how it would be the best year of our lives, but we weren't quite sure just what that meant. And importantly, we hadn't yet had the lived experience, but we have now. Now, I have a confession to make. Guests, I was hoping to be able to fully describe just what this year was so you'd be able to understand what we went through. And classmates, I was hoping to be able to quickly summarize everything we did, but I've fallen short on both counts. What is the one common thread that runs through the 482 individual tapestries that we have woven this year? I must have tried a dozen times to create a comprehensive list of just the types of things that we've done, but even this is a difficult task. From core courses and electives, to clubs and country weeks, campus exchanges, traveling, partying, language learning, partners on campus, entrepreneurship, recruiting, internships, and treks, the list goes on and on. We were able to choose from between 5 campuses from which to base ourselves each period, but we could only pick one out of the 56 permutations of allocations across the year. There will be many students in our own cohort with whom we've never even crossed paths. How can our experiences be more different than that? As a cohort, we've visited over half of the world's countries this year, but as individuals, it will have varied from just a handful to up to 38 for our most intrepid explorer. We'll have only attended a tiny percentage of what I estimate to be something like 20,000 individual gatherings organized throughout this year. We'll have only taken 10.5 credits, having had to have picked from 200 electives offered by 111 professors. And we either skipped the recruiting process altogether, or we spent the last half year persevering through 30+ interviews. So we must ask, what is it that we actually have in common? We're all receiving the same prestigious degrees today, and this means something, but what exactly? What I've come to realize over the past months is that this experience is not about an activity list. It's not about a country count or the specific electives we took. It's not about the clubs that we led nor the clubs that we danced in. This program is about the learning, the development, and growth that we've had collectively and individually over the past year. Now, these values are the values that matter most to me: to learn, to grow, and to develop. And it has been as validating as it has been inspiring to have been in a group of like-minded individuals throughout the past year. Think about it. We decided to quit our jobs, to forego financial income, move across the world, all in the pursuit of growth, self-improvement, and change. The way I see it, there have been 3 levels of learning that we have engaged with in the past year. First, and most obviously, is academic level, in the classroom environment, through direct instruction from our professors. We've been fortunate to learn from over 100 world-class instructors on many areas of management, including finance, where we've studied accounting, market valuation, statistics, micro and macroeconomics, corporate strategy, including operations, organizational behavior, and marketing, and importantly, about leadership. We've studied communications, politics, and ethics. We've put in close to 500 hours in just these courses, and these are only the cores from P1 to P3. Even this deserves a pause to just relish in the breadth and the depth of the academic engagement that we've had this year. This first level has taught us what we know. The second level of learning that we've each experienced has been learning about ourselves. And I think this process actually started way before INSEAD, when we were first writing our applications to apply. We had to define a cohesive self-image to communicate to the admissions council who we were as individuals. And of course, this was also the explicit objective of PLDP, our Personal Leadership Development Program, to challenge us to reflect on ourselves, on our leadership styles, and consider the opportunities we had for intentional change. It hasn't only been introspective, however. Our sense of self has also been greatly influenced through the interpersonal interactions this past year. Again, PLDP was designed to encourage direct peer-to-peer feedback. But more than that, we've had the chance to observe one another through MSD, our P1 and P2 and our P3 groups, during capstone, and all the other group work and classwork and discussions that we've had this year. We've watched one another carefully, and we've observed how people use their voices, how they communicate, and how they lead. There have been aspects of others' presence that we've greatly admired, and we can now make an effort to intentionally incorporate this into our own styles. We've probably also had instances where we've observed aspects we didn't love in others and both ourselves, which is a valuable experience in and of itself. Overall, the world of an INSEAD student has in many ways been a playground for self-expression and self-discovery. One of our school's founding values concerns diversity, and it states, "We are free from any dominant culture or prevalent dogma. We learn through the exchanges of ideas and experiences." How true this now rings after having spent a year interacting with our cohort's brilliant and unique individuals, and to have learned so much about ourselves along the way. The second level of learning taught us who we are. Now, I started this speech by drawing to our attention the fact that we are presently at a precipice between the great before and the great after. The third level of learning, as I see it, has to do with what comes next in our lives. Now, I don't mean what literally comes next, as in whether you're founding a fund in Fontainebleau or kicking off a career in consulting or deferring a sweet job offer to become a barista in Brisbane. Many of us don't know where we'll be in January, and that's perfectly okay. No, I mean what's in store for us in terms of our leadership journeys. Now, when I use the words lead and leadership, I'm not only referring to the conventional roles like CEOs and presidents, although some of you will undoubtedly obtain those positions in an incredibly short amount of time. I mean to lead in every aspect of our lives. As new joiners in the companies we become a part of, as dedicated community members, as caring friends, and as fathers and mothers. Someone has to raise the students of INSEAD's 52D MBA cohort. Returning to the idea of leadership journeys. First, we will imminently have opportunities to lead. As MBA holders and alumni from an internationally recognized business school, we will soon be overrepresented in positions of influence and leadership in the corporations we join, the governments we serve, and the entrepreneurial ventures that we create. Second, we have the ability to lead. Classmates, it is critical that you recognize and internalize this idea if you haven't already. You are enough. You have been validated by your applications, the references you had in your applications, by being selected by INSEAD's Admissions Council, through having successfully navigated this past year, and through your peers. If you can look at any of your peers with admiration, you need to know that you too belong in this cohort, and you deserve the same admiration for yourself. Grant yourself that. Not only are we enough, we are so much more than enough. We have sparred intellectually with sharp minds on a global stage. We are all polyglots, multilingual. We're at least dual degree holders. We have interacted deeply with other cultures, and we have learned from one another's ideas and experiences. We have the ability to lead. There's one more element to this level. We've already recognized that we'll have the opportunities to lead, and we sure as hell have the ability to lead. But that's not all. Classmates, we have an obligation to lead. There is a dire need for decisive, ethical, and caring leadership in our world today. I'll be the first to admit, and this comes with apologies to Dean Mayhoff, that when I first joined INSEAD, I was skeptical about this idea of business as a force for good in the world. At the time, I was disembodying the individual from the business, and I couldn't understand how a conceptual entity, a business, could be a force for good. But over the past year, I have come to understand what this means. What is a business if not a collection of individuals working towards a common goal? We are those individuals. And not only that, we will be leaders within these groups, wielding decisive responsibility and shaping the direction of the businesses we will work with. What we decide to do, how we choose to act, and how we lead will define the embodiment of business as a force for good. Classmates, we must be forces for good. Because if not us, who? And if not now, when? This third level of learning has taught us what comes next. Classmates, 2022 has been a wild year, an incredible year, one that will forever remain distinctive in our memories. We'll remember it for the friendships forged, the densely packed experiences, the uncertainty, and our prevailing perseverance. We've learned an incredible amount in the classroom. We have a sense now of what we know. We have sharpened our sense of self through our interactions with our peers. We know who we are. And we have learned that we are the agents of the idea that business can be a force for good in the world. We know what comes next. We are being called to lead, and the time to answer this call is now. My fellow students, je suis tellement fier d'avoir été un étudiant à l'Institut Européen d'Administration des Affaires avec chacune de vous. Once again, I'm so proud to have been a student at the European Institute of Business Administration with each of you. It's been the pleasure of a lifetime to share this chapter with you. Dear graduating classmates of the December 2022 cohort of INSEAD's Masters of Business Administration degree program, congratulations on this tremendous achievement, and know that this is only the beginning. Thank you.